All right. Let's get some people on. Let's see. Let's invite Dr. Turshá. She's going to be joining us today. Very, very excited. Let's invite her here. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Let's get back into our Zoom. Let's see here. Alrighty. Let's close that out. We are recording, so that's perfect. Let's see Dr. Turshá, and she's going to be joining us soon. Looking forward to having her on. Let's see. Well, all right, recording.
Hey there.
Hello there, darling. Hello.
But you know you got it. You got it recording us helloing.
Yes, helloing.
All right. As long as you wanted to do that.
I do. I did. Thank you so much. It's good to see you. Hello, hello.
Hey. Good to see your face.
How you feeling today?
Huh?
How you feeling today?
Good. I'm good.
Awesome.
No complaints my way.
Awesome. Good. Well, I'm still recovering with my finger injury reserve. I got two. Well, really, I got 9 fingers. This one, don't want to. The compassion finger is still in recovery, but it's coming along well.
Poor finger. It's gonna be all right. Whoa, 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 whoa.
So silly. Well, listen, thank you so much for agreeing to doing this. I'm so excited. I've been wanting to do this for a while because, what has been like the work with this eczema situation we've had going on here, and you've been really helpful in aiding with Makai's health and my health and helping him to get on the road of recovery. By the way, everyone, Makai is my 16-month-old son who I'm gonna tell the story of how he kind of comes to develop eczema. You can draw your own conclusions, but the moral of this story is what we did to fix it. And I know a lot of people out here have children, even adults, who are suffering eczema. So we're going to talk about childhood eczema, adulthood eczema, and some things you can do. And Dr. Turshá is a great resource. Again, she helped me, and I'm so honored she had an opportunity to come on and to share with us. And so let's get started.
Real quick question. Are we already streaming on Facebook or on the social medias?
No, I was recording this and then I was going to edit the part portion.
Perfect.
And then I was going to, girl, let me know something. And then I was going to put it on like all like the YouTube and share with you. Yeah. So I'm going to figure out the editing part, which I'm committed to. So that's why
Excellent.
I came up.
Now I know.
So yeah, all right. Thank you. Okay, so if it's okay, I want to give a background story about our situation and sort of how Makai came to have this eczema. And then if we can take it from there, I think that would be great. What you think about that?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so I think Makai was probably about 3 months or so, and I came out with mastitis. And mastitis is a condition, in case you all don't know, is when you're breastfeeding and one of the ducts gets plugged. And when it gets plugged, it can swell up, it can hurt, it gets infected, you get a high fever, you feel like you're having the flu. And that's what happened to me. If you're not nursing regularly or you sleep on the wrong titty or whatever, it could happen, put it that way. And so that's what happened. And so I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So I went to urgent care and they prescribed the antibiotic. And I told her I was nursing. I did not want this to interfere with my son's health. Oh, no, it'll be fine. The first dose I took of that. Now, mind you, I'm a person who didn't take a Tylenol throughout the entire pregnancy. So this was a little traumatizing having to take something. But the first dose, and then I nursed my son, he broke out from head to toe. And I mean, it was scabs.
Within how long?
Within maybe 2 hours. Yep. He broke out in scabs and hives, and he was itching. Before, his skin was fine. He was itching, and it had gotten scaly. It was on his scalp, and his hair was like matted. It had gotten like oozy at that point. And so the next day I took him to the pediatrician. They're like, I've never seen this before. I said, this is not eczema, it's something else. I said, this is the medication I took here, and this is what happened within hours. So they gave him something was super strong. And I didn't feel comfortable with it, but it just dried the skin. And then overall, it did develop into like what we know eczema, like in around the neck, the back, patches and creases of the legs and the arms. And he would scratch day and night. Oh my gosh. I mean, I was up 24 hours. He would scratch. And he would just be so irritated on the inside and would cry. So as a new mom with a new baby who see her baby suffering, and then looking at his skin and then it's bleeding and it's dry, and you're putting shea butter, coconut oil, or any type of ointment, you will put pig's fat on your baby's skin for him to just to get relief. You don't care what, you will put you will put anything to know that baby has some relief. And I was desperate. Because he was suffering, and in turn I was suffering because I wasn't sleeping. I was up 24 hours because he was up uncomfortable. I still continued to nurse, and then Dr. Turshá shows up. Jesus took the wheel, although I don't believe in Jesus. But he took the wheel anyway. Something took the wheel. Ancestors took the wheel. Let's say that. So what happened was she looked at him and she said, okay, let's look at diet. What am I eating? And we went through my diet. And she said, okay, you can change these things. What is he eating at that stage? He was about 6 months or so. So he was taking some solids. I think we looked at a mono diet for a while. Like, hey, just do all vegetables. Or, hey, let's do all of this. Think about allergy testing. But it was a process, to say the least. We'll talk about that. And she went line by line by line. In fact, everything she recommends I have sitting next to me right here, which we can go through later on. Yeah. But she has helped me tremendously. I mean, as a new parent, seeing your child healthy and smiling and bouncing and comfortable and like a baby should be and not suffering, it was like a dream come true. So we wanted to share. I asked if she can come on and share some more information about childhood eczema and hopefully adult eczema too. And hopefully you guys can get with her, you can connect with her and see what she has to offer, you and your family, because I know this affects so many people that I know, especially this time of the year when it's warming up. It tends to kind of, spur up a little bit. So that's what we did, and that's where we are.
Look, my camera. All right. So yeah, I should have been taking notes because there's so many things that I wanted to touch on while you were talking. But the first thing is, to double back to mastitis. Just to let people know, mastitis is really, really common in, new moms. Even if you're breastfeeding regularly, you can develop mastitis. And it's not, so, just know that for all of you moms who are breastfeeding, it is not uncommon, unfortunately, or fortunately, it's not uncommon. So if you develop it, don't feel like something's wrong with you. It just is. Like she said, the ducts get clogged and, you are actively making milk and it just won't come through. And so it becomes painful. It becomes irritated. It's like extremely painful from what I understand, like extremely. So know that, like I said, if that happens to you, you're not alone. You're not a bad mother. It has nothing to do with you. It just happens. So know that. Mastitis, itis is the suffix itis means inflammation. And so it is an inflammatory process. It is an infection. Breastfeeding regularly does help, but, that's not to say that if you're breastfeeding regularly, it won't happen. Right. So with that being said, antibiotics. Okay. So before I start talking about that, there are two naturopathically, it's my thought that healing starts or disease starts in two different places. One is mental and one is in the GI system. Well, as a newborn, it's not a whole lot going on, right? He's not thinking of a whole lot. I mean, we don't know what babies think, but we know that they're not figuring out quadratic equations or how to make the rent or, how to pay the next, bill. We know they're not thinking that. So that part is a non-issue. So for him, the biggest thing was the GI system. Now, especially for somebody who's brand new to the world, everything he's getting when he is a newborn comes from mom. And so whatever mom is dealing with, mental, spiritual, emotional, physical, baby has to deal with it in some way as well. The mom can protect him in some ways. I've seen some stories where, like, if mom is sick, the breast milk will change colors and will get thicker because, you know, you're producing antibodies and now you're giving those to baby because babies don't have their own immune system yet. And so you're going to give them to baby. But also whatever you're eating, baby will be eating as well. And so that's why I asked you what you're eating, because if babies are exclusively breastfed and they're having a reaction, you know, especially on the skin, then usually it's because of something that mom's doing. Now, don't think you're doing something wrong necessarily.
Sure, you're right.
Because everybody's different. So if you don't know, ignorance is not a problem unless you decide to continue to be ignorant, right? So don't feel bad because you don't know. The thing is to just shift, pivot, reevaluate, and pivot wherever you can. Now, in Yaya's situation, you know, Yaya was doing a lot. Like, you were doing the most.
The most.
You were doing the most this. And so the first thing that I asked was, what are you eating? And through our conversations, I could already see, like, you were already overwhelmed. Like, I've changed what I can, you know, I want to change more and I just can't. And so, you know, that the first thing was to calm you down.
It's still the first thing, is to calm you down.
And I get it. I get it. Yeah. Like, you are this little person's sole provider.
Everything.
Right? You are this person's everything. And you bear the weight of that as a good parent should. You bear the weight of that. So, you know, again, for anyone who is watching, if you're doing what you can, try to feel comfort in that you're doing what you can. And as your situation changes, what you can should change as well. But don't put that weight on you that you're not changing fast enough. Because, you know, if you're doing what you can, you don't want to exhaust yourself trying to make changes, because then that's going to cause a whole nother set of problems.
Sure. And I'm glad you said that, because that's like number one for parents. We want to make sure you got to make sure of that. And when you're in the middle of the forest, you only see trees. You don't see the forest, you know. And so having someone almost like a support doula like you, and I know it's kind of segued into the conversation, but it's still part of the conversation. Support this. So let people know, like, if you're struggling, find a doula, lactation consultant, someone you trust that can really listen to you and say it's okay, and allow you to be and to breathe and let you know that it's going to be all right. So that was important in the whole healing. So I don't want to minimize how important it is to have support during even the eczema phase. This is not a baby, but even like having families working with you and you know, supporting you through the flare-ups, which affects everybody in the family. You know, so that's important. So I'm glad you said that. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, I mean, anytime. Okay, so yeah. So to make sure that you have support is huge in any level of healing. We are typically, and I want to be, you know, fully transparent. I am also guilty of this. You know, we want to do it quickly. We want to do it right. We want to go balls to the wall and just do everything all at one time. And we have to learn patience with ourselves. Most of the time, whatever the thing was didn't happen overnight. Now, in Makai's case, it did happen within, not even overnight, within a couple of hours. And we were able to pinpoint it. But generally, these things don't happen overnight, right? And so whether it is something that's immediate or it's something that happened, you know, over time, we have to give ourselves grace and patience to allow the process to reverse itself, right? So that's another thing. But what antibiotics does, antibiotics goes and it does what it's supposed to do. It kills bacteria, right? It kills bacteria. And because mastitis is an infectious process, it went in to kill the bacteria that was causing the infection so that you can have relief, so that you can have, you know, less pain and you can breastfeed your child. Well, it doesn't necessarily only kill the bad bacteria. It kills bacteria. Now, it's preferential in how it does that, but it's not the only one. And it causes imbalances. So not only are you killing bad and good, but it causes imbalances, right? And as I mentioned before, everything that mom takes is being given to baby. So when you took the antibiotics to help yourself, he got it because the molecules were small enough and they were fat soluble enough and all the things. It went into his little system and destroyed whatever little bacteria he had in his GI system. And it was, it was awful. Like, I didn't see him in the beginning, but when we met, like months later, it was still pretty bad. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, antibiotics, it does its job. It kills bacteria. Now, as a segue, antibiotics does not kill viruses. So if anybody is thinking, you know, I have this viral infection, flu, coronavirus, I want to take antibiotics, it's not for that. It won't work for that. You'll basically be killing the bacteria in your gut and creating more of an imbalance. So keep that in mind. But yeah, that is basically, you know, where we were when I came in. Like, his poor little gut was, it was ransacked, and his skin was an outer manifestation of that. So whenever I see a person with skin conditions, my first thought is, what is the health of your GI system? Because oftentimes, not always, but a good bit of the time, a majority of the time, when someone has any kind of skin issues, it is a manifestation of what's going on in the GI system. It's always a manifestation of what's happening in the body, because the skin grows from the inside out. And the skin is the largest organ of elimination. So if something cannot leave your body through the normal elimination process, it's going to still try to push it out. And the skin is one way it does that.
Wow.
So if a person has acne, asthma, psoriasis, any, hives, right? All of those are processes that are manifesting on the skin that are because of something that's happening in the body. Now, there might be an external component as well, but usually it's predominantly an internal thing, right?
Okay.
So there's that. And so my goal with him was to heal his little GI system. First, you know, see how much we could change the diet, and then heal his GI system. The other thing about eczema, and then I'll let you talk. The other thing about eczema.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you. That's fine. Take your time.
It's so it is part of the allergic triad. So you have eczema, allergies, and asthma is sort of like your allergic triad. And usually if somebody has one, they're much more likely to have one or both of the other three, right?
Sure.
And so just, you know, keep that, and that's why, you know, the doctor immediately said it didn't look like asthma. It didn't really act like asthma, because it wasn't necessarily an allergic response unless he was having an allergic response to the antibiotic.
Right.
But it did manifest to more of an eczema-like condition. So there's that. So yeah. So then, like I said, we wanted to heal his poor little GI system. I mean, he was pooping up a storm, which means we know that his GI system was working the way it was supposed to, but it was off balance and it wasn't healed the way that it was supposed to. And so that was the premise around how we worked with his GI system and healing his skin.
Right. So, and I'm glad we talked about the GI system, because we know that it's just so essential. And what would you say, like, you know, you recommended for us like the mono diet, which was like, okay, yeah, you can't give them, of course it's a baby, you can't give them all rice and peas and oxtail, but you said, okay, let's just do, I don't know, bananas for 2 days or a week or whatever. What would be a recommendation for someone who is like suffering the same thing, either adult and child, in terms of their diet? Like, what foods should they kind of minimize or eliminate? What things should they look for, and what things should they incorporate?
So thank you. So the thing is that, first of all, everybody's body is a little bit different. So it's really hard to give a one specific diet for everybody. But with the okay, let me rephrase that. When I say have this diet, it's with the understanding that this is a baseline diet. Everybody's different, so not everybody will respond exactly the same, but this is a good place to start. All right. There is a diet, a principle called an elimination diet. basically the idea is you severely limit what you're eating for a length of time. It is very limited for a length of time so that you give your body the opportunity to stop reacting to the foods that you're eating. Oftentimes the reactions that we're having in our body are because of the foods that we're eating, and we don't realize it because we're eating them so often.
Right, like what? Like, for example, like what?
So eczema, a common cause of eczema is eggs. Not all the time, but a common cause of eczema is eggs, right? And so that would probably be one of the first foods that I recommend that somebody take out of their diet. Dairy, highly, our bodies are highly responsive to dairy, negative. So it's mucus. For me, it was mucus, and I didn't realize it. All forms of dairy, that's cheese, yogurt, cottage cheese, all of the things. Dairy is another one. Wheat and gluten is another one, right? So, just those three, how much of our diets are composed of just those three alone, right?
Sure, and every meal you're having one of those. Every meal, every snack. It's like one of those 3 or 4 that you mentioned are there. I would even say, I would even take it to the next level. I would even say meat. There's nothing wrong to me with meat itself. I think the processing of it makes people have reactions to it because of the things that may be in it. And I just want to be clear on that. I'm not trying to push veganism or vegetarianism. I'm not trying to do any of that. Or even, the thing with the animals. But I am saying what's done to them and how the process takes place has a lot to contribute to that as well, from my experience.
And you're right. And so a lot of times I'll say that the things we do are not always the problem. The way we've bastardized them is the problem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's definitely. Absolutely.
Like marijuana, cannabis. Yeah. It's a beautiful medicine. We've bastardized it to the point where it is the devil. It is,
it can't be. Right.
What'd you say?
I said, and it truly can't be, because it's just a plant, just like this 4-leaf clover right here. It's just like, it's what you do to it and how you perceive it, like you said.
Exactly. Tobacco, beautiful medicine, used in ceremony in a lot of, native traditions, but we bastardized it. And so now it has become a bad thing. Meat, in my opinion, is the same way. If we were eating meat like our ancestors were, only eating meat sparingly, eating the meat that we caught, as opposed to mass producing, and these awful farms. If we ate meat that was free range, so basically eating what it naturally eats, roaming the land that it naturally ate, meat would be much more healthy for us. Meat would be much more, like, meat is supposed to have omega-3s, and it's supposed to have, all these anti-inflammatory properties and all these nutrients. But that's because the meat was supposed to be roaming whatever land it was roaming, eating whatever food it naturally ate, and it was healthy, wasn't stressed out, all of those things. And so, when you have a bunch of cows that are standing in one little small cell all of its life, hooked up to machines to be pumped, falsely impregnated, to be pumping milk all the time, it can't go anywhere. It's being fed GMO corn or GMO wheat. It's stressed out, it's hungry, it's standing up all day, it can't move, all of those things. And then we eat like a 3-pound burger 3 times a day. And it's pumped full of hormones and antibiotics and all of those things. All of that gets into your system. So, that's...
Especially if it's not eliminated properly. If it's not eliminated properly, even more so. But if I could say one more thing.
Constipated, right, exactly.
If I could say one more thing, please. Even the process, now I had stopped eating meat I was vegan for a while, I got pregnant, and the meat came back into play, and then I kind of went back to my ways. So I kind of had a journey with it. But I will say, even the way the animals are slaughtered, the hormones that's released of being tortured, of being afraid, of being terrorized, that releases hormones into the body. Even when the milk is being with the machine, that ain't natural. So that's doing something psychologically and spiritually to the animal, and then we take that energy and we consume it. And so therefore sometimes we feel hyper aggressive, we may feel scared. I remember one time I had a piece of chicken maybe in 2011. And I just remember crying. I'm eating it. And at the same time, I'm crying. I felt sort of immediately. And I was like, whoa, something is wrong here. And that's when my path started, enlightenment with meat and thinking about animals. And then so when I saw an animal, actually I saw a cow maybe about 2 weeks ago getting ready to be slaughtered. And I could just see the sadness in his eyes. And I'm like, oh my God, like I saw his spirit. I was like, oh, wow. For the first time, I really felt the sadness, like visually, I should say. And so that's another thing on a sidebar about meats, but I digress.
and you're absolutely right. And even so, I'm not as spiritually in tune as you are, or as some of them. I'm not as sensitive, I should say, right? To what others are feeling in the same way. But even physically, biochemically, like if you think about it, when a person has a stress response, that's a lot of adrenaline and cortisol coursing through your system. And the reason why you have a response is to help you get away from danger. And so, you know, your heart starts pumping fast, your pupils dilate so you can see, you start breathing more heavily so that you can get more oxygen so you can run away or fight the danger. All of these things are happening. If you are slaughtered at that moment, your tissues are literally bathed in that because it's trying to get you out of danger. And they don't just disappear. They don't just disappear. Like you can't see it, but it doesn't just disappear. So, you know, if just because the cow can't run doesn't mean that it doesn't have that same stress response. Right? In our bodies, we don't know, our body doesn't know the difference between being chased by a pit bull and being in traffic or worrying about about bills, or even watching something exciting or dangerous or traumatic on television. For example, these days we've seen a lot of our people being killed, you know what I'm saying, in racist ways. That's traumatizing. I've not had that happen in my life. I've not had that happen personally in my family. I am still traumatized by those.
Of course.
And so like I am triggered. So, you know, all of those things, our body doesn't know the difference. Right. And so in the animals, those things still remain. So, you know, mass producing and things like that, it makes a difference. And then again, you know, the animals are pumped full of hormones and antibiotics and all kinds of other things.
All kinds of things.
Adds on top of it. So yes.
Yep. And that's right. And so we consume that. Now we consume that stress load of another being in addition to ours. And so now I can see how our body is like overwhelmed and bam, eczema, bam, liver issues, bam, constipation, because I'm eating the stress and I'm taking in my own and I'm not eliminating properly to alleviate that sort of toxic load that we're carrying. And that all ties into the conversation, even with adult eczema and teenage eczema, stress and things like that.
Absolutely. And again, you know, being constipated, not being able to have whatever we're consuming or drinking move through the body properly. So all of that waste is literally sitting in our GI system. And that definitely affects you, right? It definitely affects you. So, so it's all the things. It's all the things. And like I said, that's kind of what gave me the idea of what to recommend for Makai for his skin.
Mm-hmm. So what I did was I brought everything with me that you recommended so the viewers could see. And y'all, if y'all want to contact Dr. Turshá, maybe she can tell us how we can get in contact. I guess I should have did that in the beginning, but I'll put it in like the comment section as well. I apologize. This is my little first time. You know, I am with technology. We're working with it. I'm an herbalist, not a tech person. I don't want to show you, but if she can tell us how we can reach her and how you can connect with her, that'd be great for everybody to see.
So if you want to contact me, the first thing you can do is go to my website, DrTursha.com. That's DrTursha.com. I'm on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, at Dr. Turshá, DrTursha. I like to keep everything simple. If you want to contact me, there is a contact me, page on my website. So DrTursha.com/contact. Or you can DM me at Instagram or Facebook, either way. And we can set up a free 15-minute consultation so that we can kind of chat and see what your goals are and see how, we might be able to work together in order for you to reach your goals. So there's that.
Awesome. And Dr. Turshá, you also have an event coming up in 6 weeks. I don't know. I don't know what day it is. It could be Friday, 2033. I don't know. But sometime coming up this lifetime, you have something. Could you tell us about that too?
Yeah, it's called. So I have an online summit. It's an absolutely free online summit coming up June 15th through 21st. It is called Healing Hypertension Holistic Health Summit. I have gathered 19 of some of the most brilliant minds in naturopathic, natural, and holistic medicine, and they're coming talking about their expertise and their experiences in helping their patients and clients heal their hypertension. The idea is that hypertension can actually be healed, and it can. So if anybody tells you that it can't, they just don't know that it absolutely can. Hypertension is largely a disease of lifestyle. If you look up diseases of lifestyle, that is one of the diseases that is, which means that what you're doing is likely causing it. Now, don't allow that to make you too sad, because that also means that what you do can reverse it and heal it. And so these 19 practitioners share from their experiences what they've seen. And so, I mean, you have 19 different ways that you can work on your body to heal hypertension. And again, that's June 15th through the 21st. The website for that is healinghypertension.com, www.healinghypertension.com.
Awesome. That's beautiful. So folks, y'all don't want to miss that. I think everybody, I know everybody who knows somebody that has hypertension.
Absolutely.
I personally know buku people. First thing is, I just had this high blood pressure or so-and-so, or I'm going to take my high blood pressure. I've been taking my 30 years. I'm like, ooh, Lord. But we got something for you. So now you got the conference coming up.
At least half of the adults walking around in the U.S. have hypertension. Some of them are the silent killer.
Yes.
The silent killer.
Yes. So definitely check out Dr. Turshá, all the ways you can find her. Healinghypertension.com, the summit that's coming up in June. Register, get your tickets. She heard that she said 19. Oh, that's a lot of folks. That's a lot of information. That's a lot of news for one price. All you got to do is just sign up, get your ticket.
For free $99.
For free. You see, there you go. And be there. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I never shared my information, but y'all know I'm Sistah Yaya. Y'all can find me on Facebook as Yaya Love. Although I've exceeded my friends list, but you can still follow me. I think it still works that way. So not able to friend you, you can follow. I'm on Instagram at Sistah SISTAH _Yaya. You can find me there as well. Sistah Yaya, the traditional herbalist, is on Facebook. You can like our page there, and you can find out the products that we create, such as sea moss, soursop, blue Jamaican vervine, different things that we have on our website for natural healing. And that's www.soultribegroup.com. That's www.soultribegroup.com. Get our sea moss, get our herbs, ask a question, get a consultation, right there. So with those commercials there, I would like to show you some really, really amazing things that Dr. Turshá recommended for us. Now, she recommended, of course, the sea moss, because we know that's going to nourish and support his whole immunity, his whole everything. So that was fundamental. So what I do is I make a sea moss milk. I posted that to my page already, how to make baby formula with sea moss milk. Very, very easy. It's going to be a little bit more than your traditional formula that you get at the store. However, you are in control of the ingredients. However, you can make it anytime. It stores great for at least up to 3 days in the refrigerator. It tastes delicious. You can modify it. I'm going to show you some ways in which I modify it really quickly. And it's just almond milk, coconut, hemp milk. I prefer coconut milk, especially for little babies, so they can get their fat. And it's diluted down a little with some water, because that's kind of thick, with nothing in it. Just coconut milk, no guar gum, no xanthan gum, just straight up coconut milk, or you make it yourself. Add 2 tablespoons of sea moss milk, add some more filtered water to put up to 32 ounces. Put in the ingredients I'm going to show you. Blend it all up. I put in a 32-ounce jar, store it in the fridge. He drinks that. He loves it. And he's a fast mover. He's super, super strong. And that's the way we make sure he gets his sea moss milk. So she recommended that we do the sea moss. And we carry it on our website. I'm just showing you a brief
Yeah.
demo on it. We have it on our website. We have it. This is a gel, 16 ounces. You can request to get it in a jar if you want, but for safety, we put in food grade bags here. So the gel, scoop out 2 tablespoons of it.
Mhm.
Every day he gets it, and it keeps him regular. It
Mhm.
keeps his nerves. He's not like over. He's just very even kiltered. He's very sharp. His mind is very, very sharp. And again, it has 92 of the 100 and 2 minerals that your body needs to function. And minerals are great because it deals with electricity, how things move, how cells communicate. And you know, when a cell's not communicating, you're not feeling good. And
Right.
so CMOS helps to facilitate that communication. So this cell over here knows that it needs to do this and talk to this cell and relay this and clean this out and move this way to get you regulated. That's why I love CMOS. It's just like a balance. It's like an equalizer. I feel like it just gets your body calibrated where you need to be. Whatever, if you need to poop, it's gonna make you poop. You need to get your nerves refreshed, it's gonna do that. So that's number one. She recommended that we continue to do that. So she put that on there as
So
well.
let me mention that a little bit more. So the reason
Yeah.
why I love CMOS, especially in this situation, is because CMOS is very nutritious and it's very bioavailable. Bioavailable basically means that it's easy for the body to take it in and it's easy for the cells to take it in. Not everything that we eat, not everything that we put in our body actually gets to our cells because we don't digest it well, it doesn't absorb well, it doesn't get into our cells well, our bodies don't recognize it, it just doesn't always work well. But CMOS is one of those foods that does. Very nourishing, and most of us are mineral deficient. And because it's a sea vegetable, you know, it's packed with minerals, as you mentioned. And so when people see those miraculous results, you know, like, oh my God, it cured this and that and that. Right. At first you want to be like, oh my God, it's magical. Let me, But my thought is, you're feeding your body, you're feeding your cells, and now you're actually able to do what they need to do. So CMOS is key because it's simple. Once you have it done, like you have to make it or, you know, have somebody make the gel. But once it's done, it's so simple. You take a scoop, you put it in your food, you drink it, you eat it, and that's it.
That's it. That's it. And you're absolutely right. And people who are wasting, people who have gone post surgery, people who are just trying to recover from anything, childbirth, even if you had a traumatic, you talked about what you've been seeing, that is trauma. Even those type of traumas that's done to the nerve from an experience, CMOS will help to restore the nervous system physically as well to help you to recover even from mental trauma. I've noticed it even postpartum, like even this, in this country, childbirth is a little traumatic. Let's just be honest. But even that, I've noticed that it's helped to support me through a process where a postpartum. So it's definitely something that everybody needs to have. And again, most of our food is vitamin nutrition because the earth we put pesticides and over harvest on it. We're not rotating. We're not doing it with the moon like what we're supposed to do to keep the earth healthy to give us what we need. So now we're grateful because we have another source that we can use to supplement because of some things that we didn't know in our ignorance. And I'm grateful that the great Mother Earth has given us all the other alternatives to fix the boo-boo that we made in the past. So she's very gracious and she's very kind. Which you talked about earlier, being kind and gentle with ourselves. And CMOS reminds me of that energy of this kindness and gentleness because it goes in and just nourishes you, just like that.
So one last thing, and then we can move on about the whole trauma piece. I talked about the stress response. The stress response is called, it's your sympathetic nervous system response, but it's also called fight or flight. And again, you're either going to run away from the danger or you're going to stand there and gather yourself so you can fight the danger, right? When you're in that fight or flight response, as I mentioned, your pupils dilate so you can see what you're doing. Your breathing increases so you can get more oxygen in so that you can either run away or you can fight the danger. Your heart starts to race so that the blood can circulate more. Your adrenaline and your cortisol pumps so that you get stronger and faster. Like moms picking up cars to get their child that was pinned. Like that's a real thing because of that adrenaline, cortisol. When those things happen, your rest and digest, your parasympathetic system shuts off. You have two different autonomic systems. You have your fight or flight, you have rest and digest. So sympathetic, parasympathetic. Then your parasympathetic rest and digest things like, they call it SLUD. So salivation, lacrimation, lactation, urination, defecation, and I forget the other D. Whatever it is. So those things only work when you are relaxed.
I didn't know that. I,
Yes.
you see, when you slow down and think about things, you can figure it out. But I just never thought. I thought maybe they kind of do like a simultaneous thing. Okay, I know I got this going on over here, but it's still got to keep me alive. So what happens when it stops? Like you cease to exist, or it slows down and the other one takes over and it's suppressed, or how?
I don't know that it's cut and dry where it's 100% one or 100% of the other.
Yeah.
It can't be, because if you think about it, we're in a stressed out society and we're still alive. We're still, I was about to say thriving, but we're not thriving. We're still alive. So on some level it happens, but you know how people will say, sit down and eat your food at the table. Don't watch television.
Yeah.
Eat calmly. Have conversation at the dinner table. Enjoy your food. That's because you want to be in one of those rest and digest places so that you can actually enjoy your food, one, and so that your body can actually digest it.
Wow.
So, you know, if you are always running from the bear, you don't have time to digest that burger or that kale sandwich or whatever, you know, the kale salad. Because if you sit down to eat, you might become the meal of whatever danger that is. And remember, I said that the body doesn't know the difference. So if you are traumatized by birth, if you are traumatized by whatever, you won't be able to digest your food. So you won't be getting nutrients. So you do need food that is more bioavailable. And you know, coconut is actually one of those. So you have those medium chain triglycerides, and you know, coconut oil has a lot of those. So like giving somebody fresh coconut, of course, is best, but coconut water, coconut milk has those medium chain triglycerides and other nutrients that are very bioavailable that people who are convalescing can actually be fed without having to eat a lot of foods.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's beautiful that you said that, because wow. Okay, I'm not going to get off the subject. I'm going to stay. I told myself I'll stay focused.
We just have to do it again.
we're doing a segue again, because that's so many things we can talk about as it relates to our mental health and as it relates to our body's response to it and what we can do for our mental health on our own. Even in times of these that are, you know, everything's just kind of moving and life has changed as we know it. It's kind of been like a shift, and a lot of things are coming up for a lot of people. So I would definitely like to do another talk at another time of different things that we can do. What you know, you in your practice, and that you practice for yourself, and things that I do that might help with that response, so that we can get the healing that we need on the not the other side, but on this aspect of ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So yeah, that was one reason why. That's one reason why sea moss is really good for the body. And for him, you know, the itching, the constant itching is trauma. You know, it is stressful. And so, you know, even though his digestive system is working beautifully, he still is probably not absorbing as much of the food as he could, because his little GI system was already wrecked by the antibiotics, as well as the trauma of the itching. So again, that's one reason why that was a great fit for him.
Yes, and we did it very young. So while he was maybe 6 months, he was starting to get we were still doing it at that stage. So we didn't wait to, you know, I know people have their guidelines. I know my child, so the guidelines for me, like, he needs this now, and I'm glad we made that decision sooner rather than later. One thing I wanted to say also was on topically. We placed it on topically. I put it in his bath water because it helped to soothe that with aloe vera. Actually, we had a few the aloe vera growing back here, and we just clean, take out the insides of the leaf of the aloe vera, mix it with the sea moss, and just cool it, and he would just get relief. You could just feel him being like, but that would be for like 2 hours, and then we had to, you know, keep doing it again. But it did provide topical relief as well, the sea moss and the aloe vera put together. So that's just something to consider. All right. So 2 of the things Dr. T recommended I get, and I still take today for myself. 1, L-glutamine. Now, normally I do my research on everything, but Dr. T said it was what he needed, and I trust Dr. T with my life too. So she said, get the L-glutamine. But I'm going to let her explain what the L-glutamine does, because that's what she told me to get. That's the first one, was the L-glutamine.
So L-glutamine is a mineral. It's one of the minerals that our body needs. And what they found is that this mineral is really good at healing the lining of the GI system. So a lot of the gut healing protocols that you might get from your holistic health practitioner, whether it's a naturopath or an herbalist or a nutritionist, will have this L-glutamine in it because it's simple. It's one nutrient, you know, so we talk about the mono diet. Don't want to add too many different things, especially if we're trying to eliminate and see how our body responds to things. Keep it very simple. Give the L-glutamine, and it is a powder, so you can put it in your water. You can put it in applesauce. I mean, it doesn't mix very well in water, but it's easy to get down. And like I said, it's really good at healing the lining of the GI system.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, I take this. I don't have much of a GI issue anymore. I had childhood eczema, which, by the way, Dr. T, at some point, can we talk about hereditary, if that's fact or fiction, or a matter of this is what your mama did and this is what your daddy did and these are the lifestyle things that brought about the eczema versus no, they just carry this genetic piece that's why you got it. So if we can talk about that, hopefully I won't forget. But that's your L-glutamine, and I just take it straight. I just take it straight with a spoon and put some water to it for myself, and I like it.
It doesn't really have a taste. It just tastes kind of like it tastes like powder. Yeah, it's
not bitter or anything, and it doesn't cake up in your mouth. It eventually breaks down, but yeah, it's very good. Now the next, was there anything else you wanted to share about that one?
No.
Okay. The next one she recommended, this is a different brand, but she recommended that we get glycine. Glycine. And this is another amino acid. It's kind of sweet a little bit. So, you know, maybe it's probably like that a little bit, but it's not sugar sweet, and it doesn't spike your blood sugar, and it's not sugar.
Right.
So nothing's going to worry about the teeth or the baby having extra sugar, but it was really good for that. Remember that nervousness sometimes. I feel like his nerves were bad because he was just itching so much. Yep. That nervousness that I felt, energy that I felt he had, this, in one of my opinion, helped to bring that down or take it away because it helps with the nerves. But I'll let her explain more about it. I'm going to hold it up so y'all can see it.
So again, glycine is another amino acid. It is actually the simplest, the most simple amino acid of all of the amino acids. And what it does is glycine in the body, it actually does feed and calm the nerves. And part of the reason why I recommended that was for you to take it as well. You know, I wasn't going to necessarily just kind of say,
yeah. You know, I do that too. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, give this to Makai. And you try it too. Because it is, again, very gentle, and it goes in and it just sort of calms the nerves. So for Makai, for his eczema, it's not necessarily to work on his eczema directly, as you mentioned, it's more of the calming aspect of it, to help him relax and not be as stressed, and to help him sleep, because we know that, because I know that he, you know, like a lot of babies, but he was up a lot at night. And part of it was the scratching at night. Kind of help calm his body, calm his nerves, so that he's not as reactive, as responsive, so that he could calm himself, so that he can sleep better throughout the night and heal. And so, you know, when we sleep is when we heal. And if you're not getting good rest, regardless of your age, you cannot heal. Again, rest and digest. Your healing occurs. You're growing. Growing and healing are the same process. Growing and healing occurs when you're resting and when you're sleeping. When we get ill, this is why we get so sleepy, why we're ready to sleep so much, is because our bodies need to take all of that energy that we were using to think and to go to the store and to go to work and to stress out and all the things. It needs to take all of that energy and focus it in on healing. If you're not sleeping, first of all, that's going to be increased stress. Second of all, maximum healing, because you're not providing the body that rest and digest time, that sleep and relax time to actually begin to heal. So glycine is a great, gentle thing that we used. My mentor actually used it. I mean, he would dish it out just in the practice. He would just give it to everybody. And that's why I was okay with giving it. So babies to elders, it's very gentle on the body. And, you know, again, it's very simple and it is sweet. It looks like little crystals. Like little kind of sugar crystals-ish. and you put it in water, and this actually does dissolve very well, and it does taste sweet. And so for anyone that's particular or finicky, usually they will take that because it gives a mild sweetness to it.
Right. Right. And actually, sometimes I'll mix that with the sea moss because it gets kind of, sea moss has a little bit of a sea vegetable taste to it. So if I could put in something, but it adds that sweetness that you don't even know you're taking sea moss or even the glycine together. You're just like, okay, I'm just drinking my lemonade or milk, almond milk, coconut milk, whatever. I like that. And I love the rest and response because that's very, very important because when you're resting, again, you're able to shut off the part of the brain that's like, all the time, like we talked about distress, and you're able to allow your body to heal. So you can't have both at the same time. Right. So when we talk about rest, it's different from sleep. Now you can sleep, but resting is different. Resting is when your mind is at ease, you're at peace, and you're just in a relaxed state, and your body is able to rest. Your systems are able to slow down a little bit and just relax. Whereas sleeping, okay, I probably did so much today, I'm just going to go to sleep. But that doesn't mean that you're restful. It doesn't mean that you're doing a lot of response. So there is a difference between the two, rest and sleep, and that could be a whole nother conversation.
It is a whole nother conversation.
Okay, so those two, she definitely recommend that you do. In addition to the sea moss is fundamental, y'all. You got to have your nutrients, got to be nourished. But Dr. T, one thing I've been adding lately, which I feel like it has boosted everything that you've mentioned, is this one.
Moringa, absolutely. Moringa is awesome.
Moringa
is awesome.
Full, I think it has a full amino acid profile, like it's like a full complete food. And I see that this calms him, relaxes him, it stabilizes him, it energizes him, it gives him like premium gasoline, and he's just like running. His mind is even more opening up, blossoming. Makai never had a cold. Now he's had eczema, but he's never been sick with anything. He's never had a flu, he never had a cold, he never had anything other than the eczema. He's never been sick. He might have had runny nose maybe once because of the weather change, but it's never been like
and because of the environment
the environment was everything, but it's never been like a straight out cold.
Right.
So these things that we've done naturally has helped. Every now and then I add some soursop to a drink to keep his cells healthy, to keep the inflammation that he may have going on. So it's some soursop that we carry on our website. Every now and then, I just boil the leaf for him, and I'll put it in his tea. In our culture, we make tea for children. We just dilute it down, and we just give them the herbs that way. So I give him that a couple times a week. And I have this oil, which is going to be coming out soon. So you guys get a little heads up. It's coming out soon. This is it's made with Haitian castor oil. If you don't know, Haitian castor oil takes care of everything, including everything. So, and this has helped with the skin healing itself. With the skin repair, I noticed his skin is getting smoother. The dark spots that he had in the corners of his arms here and underneath here, sometimes around his neck, those are smoothed out. His color has come back. He doesn't have anything on his face anymore. His hair is growing like really, really a lot. His legs are not as rough. He had it even around his ankle, like the front part of the ankle, around his foot. All that's gone pretty much. It's just a little few dryness where you see he had something, but it's not bleeding, is not peeling off like it used to. So this has been the regimen we've used, and we consistently stick with it. Another thing is he just eats fruits and vegetables. He just eats fruits and vegetables. Every day I give him at least a half a cup of coconut milk mixed up with fruit. Blackberries. Blackberries are so important. Blueberries, and you posted a link the other day where you can pick your own blueberries in Louisiana.
Yeah.
So
you coming with me?
Yes. I was like, okay, let's see who got the organic ones. We're going to go over there. Oh, okay, we got to go. So getting those, now they're in season, So you can get them and freeze them for the winter time. But those are the antioxidants. That's fighting against those free radicals. That's strengthening the skin, reducing inflammation. So he eats buku blueberries, buku blackberries, raspberries, coconut milk, mangoes, bananas, and we make it in a bowl with a coconut milk and like a cereal.
Avocado, don't forget the avocado for the healthy fat.
And the avocado, yes. Every now and then I do that. Like in the evening, I do an avocado, and I'll do his fruits together, and then I'll do his vegetables together. I don't mix them anymore, because mixing them, I think, caused him a little issue initially. So fruit when he's going to do his fruit, and then like avocado-ish stuff, and his salad. He loves the salad greens, to eat the lettuce, just chew them, and So I will say we do that, and we're very much serious about that. But this has, when I tell you I was so excited about this, because I was a child who had eczema, and I know how awful it is, especially in the summertime and wintertime. You just don't get no relief. But when I seen the miracle, and I prayed for this, when I see the miracle of my child that started out with this thing here, and then working with Dr. Turshá, and then using my intuition and developing things as I got more stronger as a mother, as I got more support as a mother, I was able to have more creative space to say, okay, let's look at this thing from a bigger picture here. What other things can we do? So as I began to heal postpartum, it helps him. And like now you will never know. And so I said, well, we have to talk about this. We have to help other families and share the information.
There's one more key point, key thing that you didn't mention that was instrumental. It was like a cornerstone of it, and that's the probiotics.
Oh yes.
So the probiotics, because remember I said that the antibiotics goes in and it destroys bacteria. Right. And so because he didn't have the balance of bacteria that he needed, that was a huge reason why his little system was off. For us, if our bacteria is not balanced, it's going to show up on our skin. It's going to show up in how we digest. And so we found a probiotic. Probiotic means good bacteria. I found a probiotic that actually some of my colleagues recommended that were for children, because at different stages of life, we need different types of bacteria.
That's true. That's
so
true.
We got one that was a powder so that she could mix it into all the other things that that she was doing, that also helped to replenish and repopulate and heal his little GI system. And so you know, keep that in mind. Now you want to make sure that you have a good quality probiotic. Just because you get something, you can get something at, you know, the easiest location, and it's, you know, you get 300 of them for 45 cents. That doesn't mean that it's going to be quality, right? So keep that in mind. But a good quality probiotic was a part of the keys to helping to heal his little GI system.
And I would agree, and that's why I wanted them to contact you, because it wasn't by accident that I forgot to bring it out. Maybe because I'm outside, I didn't want to bring. I don't know. It wasn't by accident that I forgot to bring it out. But they need to contact you because you have your repertoire of locations that is quality now. You know, when it comes to children, well, for me, they're gonna get. I don't care what I got to, whatever I got to do. He has to have the best. And so I told her, whatever, just beam me up, Scotty. And send it to me, and that's what she did. And it's a great one. I love it. And it, you know, you just take a little bit of a powder, it comes with a little spoon, and you put it in there. And you don't need a lot of it. I mean, that little bottle powder has like 60 servings or something like that in there. And it was really affordable, but y'all got to get to Dr. Turshá so she can get it for you, because it's some good stuff. So yeah, the probiotics, and it definitely made a difference. And that, I think the probiotics made the fastest, the difference I've seen the fastest was with the probiotic. And I see everything else kind of take effect a little bit later, but that probiotic is absolutely essential.
Because if you think about it, like I said, the antibiotics, it destroys bacteria. So that was the very first thing that happened. All of the other happened subsequently. But that was the first thing. It went in and it did its job. And so the first thing that we needed to do is begin to replenish that. So that would be why you started to see it first that way.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So you all please contact Dr. Turshá. Once we get the video uploaded on all the social media platforms, you'll see her information there that we can contact her. But let me tell you, I'm an herbalist. I've been doing this for a long, long time. But without support, without time and someone to be there, it's very challenging to do it all by yourself, especially if you just had a baby. I mean, it's damn near impossible, okay? Because you're trying to get yourself together and then get another person. Your mind ain't trying to got time to be researching. Call the doctor. Just call her, email her, just get with her, okay? If you need sea moss, you know, I'm here. SoulTribeGroup.com, get your sea moss, your Jamaican herbs and things like that. But I wanted to bring her on as a resource for the community because she's helped me personally. And she's been very, very effective with helping Makai with eczema. Now, really quickly, adulthood eczema, when I see it in my practice, to me, that's really easy to me, because I'm just like, okay, well, you know. But I see normally there's constipation involved. Normally, 100% out of 100%, there's constipation on our GI thing, which we talked about, is involved. So first thing I'm thinking, we need to clean that gut out and get that good bacteria in there. And then look at your diet and see what might be feeding it. And of course, your lifestyle. But do you have anything that you could recommend adults, or even like high schoolers, middle schools, when school is stressful and school begins? Anything you might recommend?
Honestly, the idea behind eczema is still the same. With adults, the older you are, the more complex it will be. And so the longer it'll take to start seeing changes, usually. Because you've had more life happen. You know, with new babies, they haven't had any life. And so something goes wrong, fix it. And you know, no obstacles. So for us, you know, we've had, you know, micro trauma, micro damage, this going on, that going on, and you have to, you know, get through a lot more. And so, but the process is still the same. Make sure that you're eliminating so that you can get everything else done, and then start to feed the cells what it needs, and then start to heal the GI system and repopulate the GI system, removing the foods that are actively causing your body damage. And that is a challenge in and of itself, because you don't always know. For one person, it might be eggs. For another person, it might be dairy. For somebody else, it might be potato. You don't know. It's trial and error. You can do blood tests. And so if you want to get the blood test, come see me. You know, again, DrTursha.com, DrTursha.com. Go to the contact me link, and, you know, we can talk about getting you tested for food sensitivities, right? But you can also do an elimination diet, just eating very, very plain for several weeks. It's a process, you know, several weeks. Allow your body's responses to calm down.
Right.
Feel what life is like without having all of these responses.
Right.
Personally, the thing that the thing that was the most dramatic change when I did an elimination diet while I was in naturopathic medical school was when I eliminated all dairy. After about a month, you know, my body was completely clear of it. It was the first time that I could actually breathe out of both nostrils at one time. I didn't even know that that was a possibility.
Wow.
Like literally a couple years prior, I had a friend of mine who I'd pretty much grown up with, and I went to visit, and he was like, "You still had that cold that we had since we were children?" And I was like, "Oh," I didn't even realize it. I was always snotty. I never experienced being able to breathe out of both nostrils clearly. Dairy was doing that to me.
That's that. Wow.
Another thing about the elimination diet is that it helps because our bodies don't always respond immediately to what we're eating. Sometimes the response is later on that day, a day later, 2 days, 3 days later. So if you're eating something on a regular basis, you don't know that it's causing it if your body responds 3 days later. So if every day you're eating grits and eggs with butter and a glass of milk, and then you're eating a sandwich, and then, you know, like every meal you have some dairy or some eggs or something, you don't know which one is causing it, and you don't know if it's 1 day response or 3 day response. So doing an elimination diet will allow your body to just calm down, relax overall. And then you start to slowly reintroduce things into your diet. And that's where a mono diet will come in very handy. You reintroduce things very slowly. Eat one thing and then wait for 3 days and then introduce one more thing. The process is slow and arduous, but you get to see, you get to feel how your body reacts to those things. The first time that I ate dairy after my elimination diet, when I tell you within less than a minute, a big hunk of snot collected in my nasal passages, I was like, wow.
What is this? Wow.
It was like immediate. Never experienced anything like that because I didn't know. Sure. So, you know, for adults, the principles are still the same. It just might take a little bit more.
Wow. And I love that. And the cool thing with adults also, you can incorporate herbs that allow you while you're doing your process. For example, like, you know, if you're like stuck on sugar, and, you know, white sugar is causing inflammation, all kind of stuff in your body. And let's say that you have an issue with it, and it's okay. Well, you know, there's certain herbs that you can take like while you're doing your elimination diet to ease that transition. For example, in my practice, I've noticed that when you're taking bitter herbs and your tongue actually tastes the bitter herbs, it does something and changes your taste buds from the desire of sweetness to like almost like neutral in a way. And you keep taking herbs, and you're going to want to crave more vegetables or even more bitter things. And bitter is good, we know, for the liver, it's good for the skin, it's good for the blood, and all those things. But you got to go through a process of giving your body something to work with, is what I'm saying. Give it something to work. Give it a little something to kind of get it springboard into that direction. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to stress your body and your mind. Like, oh my gosh, I've been having a Coke every day for 20 years, and all of a sudden I got to stop. No, instead of having 2 cans, just have one, and then maybe have some herbal tea. And then you might find out you may skip a day. And like, oh, okay, now we're doing every other day. I'm still doing my cold blends every other day, and I'm doing my tea. And then it might be 2 times a week. The next thing you know, it's once a week. So, like you said, it's that gentleness, it's that easing into it. But those herbs definitely help. Soursop helps. You have asaosi, or they call it cerasee, or bitter melon, that helps. Different things that you can take while you're doing the elimination that help your body and help you mentally to adjust this thing as well. It's very, very gentle. So it doesn't have to be hard. So you can contact one of us if you want to know more about that. But you do have allies in this process.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, just to bring it back to what I was saying in the beginning, the 2 areas that need to be healed first are the mind and the GI system.
Absolutely.
That's where the patience comes in. That is where
you
have to do your mental work. So if you are addicted to sugar, if you're addicted to sodas, it's not always just about stopping. Why? Why do you have that need? Why do you have that crutch? Do you pick it up when you're stressed? Do you pick it up when you are angry? Do you pick it up when you're nervous? Do you pick it up when you're lonely? You have to start recognizing those things, because then if it's part of your habit because of these things, and that just segues into the question that you just were asking earlier, if it's a part of your habit, then, or a part of your self-medication, then you also have to go through that process. And again, you need to be gentle with yourself while you go through the process, because it's not always as simple as not eating something and eating something else, because we do a whole lot more. And again, that's why it can be so much more difficult or challenging for an adult. Children don't have those issues usually. So that's another thing. Now, you asked earlier about genetics versus environment. And so it absolutely is a combination of both. So the saying that I really love that I heard was that genetics loads the gun, your environment pulls the trigger. So you having had eczema as a child means that genetically you are probably going to pass that predisposition on to your child. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to get it.
Sure.
It just means that he's more susceptible. And all of us have susceptibilities. All of us have, weaknesses in our body. It doesn't mean that we're weak. It just means that they're not always as strong. You're only as strong as your weakest link. The chains on a big chain, the links on a big chain are not necessarily weak, but one of them is probably not as strong as the other.
Sure.
What you do on a regular basis is the thing that's going to pull the trigger. And so, the fact that you had to take antibiotics, for him, that was the trigger. Somebody, if his body is sensitive to eggs, that would be the trigger. If you had never given him eggs, or if you had never taken antibiotics, or if you had never do whatever else his body is sensitive to, he may not have ever developed it.
Sure.
The environment wasn't there, it wouldn't have been there to create or to activate this thing that he was genetically predisposed to. So the same thing with hypertension, the same thing with diabetes, the same thing with a lot of these diseases that we see. If they're passed down from generation to generation, that's partially genetic, but also are your habits, are your traditions, are your mindset, are your thoughts. Are you stressed the same way? Are you carrying your parent and grandparents' trauma? We are all, carrying the generational trauma of enslavement and of segregation and of all of those things. And, some of our ancestors, some of our relatives were arrested, and some were raped, and some were, impoverished, and some were, bullied. And all of that, it shapes how we speak and how we move in this world.
Absolutely.
And when we're communicating with other people, we can only speak the way that we are, that we know, and it's shaped by our experiences. So again, genetics loads the gun, our environment pulls the trigger.
Right. And I'm so glad you said that. And if we could just kind of wrap up on this point, because that's so important. Now, I talked about me having eczema, but in our tradition, when we see any type of illness, it's always a message of something. So when we see something on the skin, we have to say, okay, what is showing up? What is showing up to the world? How do I feel about myself? How do I feel about myself presenting to the world at this stage, at this particular segment? And so eczema, at that time for him to get it, made me question how I was feeling about myself postpartum and all the things that came along with pregnancy and all the things that came along with childbirth. And in my mind, not saying that this was in the direct cause, but it got me to thinking about, okay, how do you show up in the world? How do you want to show up as a mother? You know, it's coming up on his skin. So how do you show up in yourself, yeah? And then how do you want this child, what he's come here to do, to show up in the world? So in some ways, it had me thinking about his foundation and what he's coming to this world to do, how he needs to show up. You understand? But also we had to deal with what was going on. So we kind of got the lesson in that side, but we said, okay, now let's get them. I got the lesson, let's get them fixed.
Yep.
So we look at it, and if we see things that are not happening to us, but happening for us, that's a way of looking at, okay, we're not a victim. I can reach out for help. I can say, okay, Dr. T, this is what's going on now. Help me out, because this is not happening to me. I'm not a victim. It's happening for me. So let's come together. Let's learn these lessons. Even if Makai is teaching us in some ways through this process, I've learned a lot. I'm sure you've learned a lot. And others who I've shared my struggle with might have learned a lot. And he's getting better now. Now we're learning something else about this. It's all what's happening for us. So I want to leave on that note for sure, and that positive vibration that you shared about genetics and the gun and the environment, which is so important. So when you look at your body and look at healing, you look at illness, it's not happening to you. It may be happening for you, and what is the lesson? But also know you have support around you. You have herbs, you have seasoned professional individuals like yourself, Dr. T, who've gone through the training of years and then practice, and then your own practice you have going on that's helped in the work that I do with plants and the spirituality and things like that. You know, all that work is towards for us, never against us. So I'm so grateful that this experience has taught me a lot. Do I wish it could do another? Of course, I'm a creature of comfort. I want things to be comfortable and this all the time, but that's not how life is. And nature can use anyone and anything to teach a lesson, to show a different way, to springboard to something greater. So I'm glad this all worked out for our greatest good. But I had to relinquish control that I can't do this by myself. I had to call on somebody to kind of to come and support and kind of be of help. And so I'm grateful for that. And so that's just one of the takeaways I hope you all are able to take away from this situation. So let's see here. Uh-oh, I think we might have lost Dr. T. Let's see. Dr. T, you still there?
Hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you see me? Okay, good.
Yes.
It's paused for a moment. I'm glad you're back.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was just saying that we just need to remember that, one, we are tribal being each other in aspect of our lives, because we're not.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Let's see. Oh, hopefully she's there. Hey, can you hear us?
Yes, there you go. There you go. Yes, now I can.
Okay. I don't know. Could you say you said something about being tribal, and I think that's where the video kind of cut off.
So 2 points. One is that we are tribal beings. We're not meant to do things alone. So get support when you need it. And 2, we are complete beings, mind, body, spirit, emotion. And so we have to, learn to start looking at things on all those levels. I am not good at all those aspects, which is why I love to connect people like you who are good where I'm not. Because again, we are tribal. So, as long as you have your support and you remember it's not just one thing, that healing comes at all levels, you're on the way.
Yeah. I totally agree. So y'all, reach out to Dr. Turshá. I'm telling you, y'all. Let me just say real quick. When I first met her, let me tell you, we were at a class of one of our colleagues, Joni's team, and I was like, oh, who's that lady? I want to be her friend. Well, I didn't want to say it because I didn't know I'm like new to all, and I'm talking to people like that. But I kind of was like, oh, let me sit next to her. And I forgot how we connected. I think Facebook or something like that.
No, what had happened was,
it was so funny.
Eleni, who did the class, she had posted that you had the herbal drink concoction mix.
Oh, that's right.
And I was like, I'm gonna try it. And I called and got it, and she was like, hey girl, hey. And I was like, I don't know this lady. And so I was like, hey, this is how the conversation was going. I'm like, why she know? And so when we met up, she was like, "Don't you remember me from the thing?" And I was like, "Oh, hey, girl, hey."
Pretty much, that's what happened.
Yes, so that's what it was.
That's true. And I was like, girl, I got this baby girl. I ain't got no help, girl. But she was like, well, I come over to your house. And I was like, okay. Look, I didn't know her. I was like, okay. So she came over and helped me with my baby, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful. She's like, I'm just going to stay on the couch. I'm just going to watch the baby. Go. She said, go lay down. Go. The first thing she told me was like, go lay down. She bought a box of candles. Which, by the way, she has amazing candles, bath bombs, some oil, body soak as well. And she just bought this basket of stuff. She's like, take what you want, but you can't take this candle. You can use it, but you can't take it.
I was like, go take a bath, go relax yourself,
right,
go away, and then go take a nap on it.
Yeah, and I had a hard time doing it. I needed the help. I had a hard time. I was like, well, if he cries, I'm right here. And his diapers are. She's like, girl, if you don't get your ass out if you don't get your ass, I'm like, okay. I'm going to lay down.
And then 5 minutes later, she came back.
It was great. So that's how we met, y'all. And we tell that story all the time. It was just so funny. And by the way, Eleni Cruz of AscensionArts.com. She's a doula. She is she's studying to be a midwife. She's also an herbalist. She has a no herb gathering every year. It's wonderful. So it's Ascension. I always spell it wrong. So maybe you can help me, Dr. T. Her website.
Look at it.
But her name is Eleni Cruz. Ascension Arts is her it's her business, and she's a really, really great soul. She's knowledgeable about different plants, herbs, remedies. She has a school, actually. It's Atavi School of Cultural Healing. And actually, I teach once a year. I do a class on Caribbean herbalism, using Caribbean herbalism as a ways of resistance and social change. And it's a really, really great class. And her school is amazing. She pulls together indigenous knowledge of people from really all around the world. People who want to learn about herbalism from a traditional standpoint, and also mixing and marrying some of the some of the more conventional ways of herbalism, like European Western herbalism as well. So you get both. But our focus is really on people of color and our ways of healing. Her name is Eleni Cruz, excuse me. She is at AscensionArts.com, but Ascension is spelled a little different, so that's why
I can't find it. I can't find it. But if anybody, if anybody, reaches out to me or you.
Yeah, we can give it to you, definitely.
Because I couldn't find it. Because she throws a 3 in there somewhere, and I don't know
where.
There's
a 3 in there, yeah. That's the thing. I don't want to. I'm sorry, Ellie, baby. We try to get commercial, but we're still going to make sure your information. Actually, I'm just going to put it in the description so people have it. So, yeah, she's a great resource. Got 3 of your repertoire right here. And we're so grateful you took the time to watch this video. Thank you, Dr. T. Thank you. So good to see you.
I miss you guys. I miss you all.
I miss you. I know. We're going to see you very, very soon.
Yes.
So thank you so much. And again, thank you.
Yes. Happy to help anytime you need me.
Yeah, and that's true. She has been there. Some folks are like, girl, call me anytime. Don't answer their phone. She does. I
don't answer my phone for everybody. For most people, I don't answer my phone.
Right.
But if I tell somebody anytime, which I don't tell anybody that, I only tell a very few people that. Then I'm on it.
Thank you, darling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if that's it, I'm going to get this video uploaded for all to see. And again, thank you for your time.
See y'all later.
See ya. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.